What did you think when you heard the news of her assassination this morning?
This is a disaster for Pakistan for two important reasons. One is that she was the face of hope for the U.S. government's efforts to try and bring Pakistan back from the brink. And the second is that there will be inevitably now links made to government officials in Pakistan that people will say, the government was behind her assassination, that they wanted her off the stage and out of the way. And this was the most convenient way to deal with it because they knew she was going to be a powerful political force.
Mansoor, if it is a sniper, does that look more like a government job? And if it is a suicide bomber, does that look more like a terrorist job?
Yeah. Well, my understanding is that what happened is that the bombing attack took place first, and in the chaos that ensued, which is a typical terrorist, a strategic terrorist operation. I mean, I don't know if you've watched the movie The Kingdom, where they show how the Al Khobar Towers bombing took place, but the way they show that is that first the terrorists made an attack, and then when everybody was coalesced in one place and there was complete chaos, the real bomb went off. And so I think that it's probably all part of a coordinated attack strategy. The problem with government complicity in this is that it was the government responsible for providing her security. But the real issue is that the government is going to be asked, you were responsible for providing her security, what went wrong? Yeah. And the government is going to tell the entire world, you're not allowed to ask us that question. Get out of our backyard and don't waste our time.
The U.S., President Bush, had been encouraging President Musharraf to find some sort of compromise with Benazir Bhutto, some sort of way that they could, live in accord together, sort of side by side. Was that close to happening?
No. She was not willing to accept what we call a caretaker role as prime minister. She wanted to be the real prime minister. And it's important that everybody understands this. If she had become the prime minister, she would be the leader of Pakistan, not Musharraf. Musharraf would be the titular head as the president of the country, but he would have been stripped of a lot of power since he's no longer the army chief anymore.
Yeah, he had a lot to lose, but is it worth it? If you keep your position and keep your power and your country's in chaos, I mean, he is not wearing the uniform. What about the loyalty of the military if he was in fact linked to this assassination?
This is exactly why this is such a disaster, Brian. You've hit the nail on the head. The real problem for Pakistan today is that Musharraf no longer runs the army, therefore he's no longer the one sustaining certain people inside the army. The two most dangerous possibilities, which I've said now for 3 months, over and over again in both public and private discourse, is Pakistan descends either into civil war, which is a real possibility as a result of what happened today, or there is an Islamist coup from inside the army where the radicalized elements say, this is the moment to strike, this is the moment at which Pakistan is the weakest, and we will never again have a chance to be able to take over all the levers of power that run this nuclear-powered nation at any time in the future.
So what happens right now, Mansoor? Does the U.S. just sit by here and hold its breath and pray that Pakistan doesn't devolve into civil war, or are we going to do something?
Three things. I think the first thing that we have to do is dispatch, not the CIA, but the FBI, to go, and Musharraf has to publicly announce immediately that he's allowing an international investigation into exactly how this assassination attempt took place. Because if, for example, it was really the radicalized militants that tried to gun her down and were successful this time, that's a very important data point for the entire world to know that the government was not involved in any way, shape, or form, and there needs to be complete transparency on that. The second thing that he needs to do is to say to the Pakistani people, if there are other people from the Pakistan People's Party that want to run for the election, whoever the political people are that want to do that, they're now most welcome. We're going to have an open, free, fair, transparent election. The third thing that he needs to do is make sure that the international community knows that he will personally make sure that transparency of election takes place, and that he will stand down. He will resign if there is any way, shape, or form that election does not now come off the right way. Because without that, you've got civil war in Pakistan.
Right, and we got to know if we have an ally amongst the candidates. Do we?
And certainly it is not Nawaz Sharif. I've said this before. He is.
Yeah, he's a nightmare.
He's the face of the Islamists in Pakistan, and we definitely don't want him to be running that country. There are other very qualified candidates in both parties. I'm afraid to even name them now because they may become targets by themselves.
Mansoor, let me ask you, sometimes after a severe, something as horrific as this happens, it gives a country, it gives a government a chance to react like they want to with a great degree of punishment, with an iron fist. Do you think this will give Musharraf an opening to go and crack down on the terrorist camps and the terrorists who he will claim did this?
Well, from your lips to God's ears, I wish that it was going to be that straightforward, but I do not believe that Musharraf looks at the militancy problem in Pakistan in the same way that we do. And by the way, the fact that he would not do exactly what you're saying is what will lend more credence to the argument that the government was somehow or the other involved in all of this.
Powered by the worldwide resources of Fox News. Fox News. Brian and the Judge on Fox News Talk.